years ago, I was like, I go in, I do it, I do my best, and then I flush it and I don't think about it. And if it comes back to me, wonderful. But I can't allow myself to give that vulnerable chunk, or else, I'd be in an institution. It's like, it's tough. And I know a lot of people can get really down, and it's easy to get really down because you audition a lot and you get told no a lot. But that's why for me, I was like, I have to take it with a grain of salt. It has to just be a part of what I do. Now, granted, if there was a massive audition, if I was like auditioning to be on like The Mandalorian or something that I love, I'm certain then I would be nervous. But generally, I try to keep it at bay.
Wow. And has that, always been the case, like even before, you had some what people consider, success in the business? I would say a few hit TV shows on major networks would be considered success as an actress. But were you always this way, like even, during your beginning years? I
definitely tried. Like, I remember one of my stories from like when I was first starting out as an actor was I had an audition for a commercial. I can't even remember what the commercial was for, but something like not glamorous. And I had had a little too much to drink the night before, and I was too hungover. And I went in and I was like, this is terrible. And I booked it because it was like I just didn't care. Like, I truly was like, take it or leave it. And I feel like there's really something about that energy, and that's advice I would give to any like young actor. Like, if you feel desperate, they can smell it on you. Now I'm not suggesting to get hungover before every audition whatsoever, but it was such a learning moment for me where it was like, I went in and I did well, but I just didn't, and my energy was like, I can take this or leave this. And I think that can sometimes make the difference. But I have also had people tell me over the years when I've been, screen testing for various TV shows, and usually then in a screen test, it's down to like a few of you for each role. And then it whittles down over the course of the day, which feels terrible. Like, you're all in this together as a team, and then by the end, it's like you and one other person, and it's a death duel to the end. But I have had feedback in those rooms where people have been like, "Why are you so quiet? Why are you so confident?" And I was like, "I'm just silent. Like, I'm just not nervously chatting. That's the only difference. I may feel nervous inside, but I fake it till I make it."
Wow. Yeah, that is like fight to the death when it's like there's only two of you left standing.
It's a very odd experience that feels really terrible.
Right. You're like, I either know you or I've become BFFs with you over the last 12 hours. But yeah, this is my part, so like, please watch out.
Well, and also, yeah, like it pits people against each other in a way that feels like, I don't know, it feels unnecessary. It's just odd.
Have you ever, like, I once spoke to an actress that, she was like in the final round, she says, for like Claire Dunphy on Modern Family. I'm like, oh my God, that could have been you. Who knew? Julie Bowen, we love. But were you ever in the mix for something where it's like, oh my God, that could have been Lauren Ash? Like, it's a part we all know so well.
Oh, let me think about whether there was something iconic. There's lots of things that I've gotten close to. I was actually... I don't know if I'm supposed to tell that.
You can tell it.
I love the gentle prod. You can tell it.
Listen, we're old friends now. Come on.
I definitely met a few times to play the lead in I Feel Pretty, the Amy Schumer movie that came out. I definitely met a few times on that. So that was probably the biggest one where I was like, man, I got pretty close to that.
I can see this.
Yeah.
And you never, you don't get nervous, but do you ever feel, or are you, we kind of just talked about this, but is it like the universe always has its way of working out? Or are you like, man, that is one of the ones that got away?
I try to give myself a grieving process. So I try and give myself like a few days where it's like, okay, you can be really in your feelings about this. You can get real emo for like 2 to 3 days, and then you got to let it go. You got to move on. You can't sit in it forever. Because again, like, also it doesn't serve you, and there's a million more opportunities. And the other thing I've always felt, which I really truly believe, is that there is enough work for all of us. There's more than enough work for all of us. So if you don't get that, you're gonna get something else. You can't look at it as though this is the only gig that is ever gonna happen for me, and then it didn't happen, and this means my career is over. No, that's absolutely untrue. There's enough work for everyone. And having a scarcity mentality is going to breed scarcity as opposed to trying to have an abundance mentality.
That's true. Well, now I know is out in the world and you write songs, and we all know this. You've always written songs. Maybe you can just write a song during Grimo phase if you don't get a great part that you want.
100%. Yes, exactly.
Speaking of parts, Super Fun Night. That's
Yeah.
my first exposure to. I never really dabbled in scare tactics, but
Yes, it's a specific show.
It's a specific group of people that either watch it or don't.
Yes.
But Super Fun Night. I mean, the smile on my face is just what a brilliant freaking show.
Yeah, it was really fun. And, it was interesting because that was the television gig that my first one in the United States. I've worked a lot up in Canada prior to then. But it was wild. Like, it really felt like I was getting thrown into something that was so big. I mean, we had billboards in Times Square, and obviously Rebel Wilson is a massive star. And we were shooting on the Warner Brothers lot, which has a lot of history, So it was an amazing experience. It was really like a cool, fun one. And I loved playing that character.
She was a great character.
She was so great.
Listen, any reference to Jodie Foster, sign me up, please. I watched every episode.
I love it. I love it. You can't really find it anywhere now, too. And people are always asking me, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's a shame. It's a shame. And it feels like we live in an era where everything is findable. So it's got to be out there somewhere.
Someone's got to find that.
I know.
Do you have a specific memory of working with Rebel Wilson on that?
Listen, we all became, she and Kate Jenkinson and I became great friends, and we really had, I think one of my favorite memories of that time, though, was the National Enquirer wrote an article saying that Rebel tried to run me over with a golf cart, which is absolutely untrue, obviously. We were dear friends, but it was talking about how she hated me and she tried to hit me with a golf cart. And I was like, I got to frame that. This is amazing. If the National Enquirer is making up stories about you, you realize that you've made it to at least a certain level in Hollywood. What a flattering honor.
I was just going to say, that's when you knew you made it.
Totally.
Do you have a specific first memory of fame, of, okay, it's all about the work and now, music too, but when you're just oh, wait, this is weird. People actually recognize me.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's come like a slow burn. So I would get recognized. Well, one of the best moments, actually, this is quite funny. So my screen test for Super Fun Night I want to say it was at it wasn't on the Warner Brothers lot. It may have been in the Disney building, but that doesn't make any sense. Regardless, I pulled up and the security guard recognized me from Scare Tactics. And he was like, oh my God, this is incredible. What are you doing here? And I was like, I've got a screen test. He's like, you park right here. And I was like, in the handicap spot? And he's like, absolutely. I'm working all night. I got you. Don't worry. It's an honor. And I was like, okay, I guess. So I parked there. We go in, we do the screen test, which again take hours and hours and hours. And, we're with a very small group of people. And then we come out of the building and I realize, oh my God, all of these people, some of which I'm probably, if I book this, I'm going to be working with, are seeing me get into my car, which I look like a complete D-bag, has parked in the handicap spot. So I then started to say oh, just so you know, and then it was now I sound like a D-bag because I'm saying I got recognized from another show. It was basically,